Hello everybody, this is Catholic Diet, episode number 450, Sperm in a Wallet. I have a funny story from back in medical training. There were two residents that I was in residency with that were dating, and I think they were, at that point in time, they were engaged. She was the fiance, he was, the fiance as well, I suppose. And they were having a little bit of a funny lover's quip in the residence lounge, so everybody's listening to this. And he's giving her some hard time, and she's throwing it right back at him, and it's kind of fun to watch. And then she says to him, "Sperm in a wallet, Andy, that's all you are, a sperm in a wallet." And I thought that was really actually quite funny and very realistic about the state of affairs of marriage, essentially. Well, anyway, I want to go into, and I'll explain that in a little bit, but I think she probably had the proper, not entirely the proper, like not the Catholic proper, but she had a very realistic view of marriage. And she didn't have any false expectations about her spouse-to-be. And J.R.R. Tolkien, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe guy, and Lord of the Rings, and whatever else, he wrote a bunch of letters to his son about marriage and sexual relations. And he essentially laid out his advice to his son. It's worth everybody reading. You can Google it online if you want. Tolkien's letters to his son about marriage and sexuality. But J.R.R. Tolkien essentially said that love should not be idealistic, right? It has to be realistic. And that these guys out there, they have this starry-eyed dream of the woman being the goddess figure, the goddess-like figure. And the women, they desire the chivalrous knight, or the hero that comes and saves her. And he said, Tolkien said that puts way too much pressure on the relationship, because nobody can fulfill that goal for each other, And it also places the woman at the center of the relationship, which is actually kind of a problem, because she doesn't want to be there. She may intrinsically in her intellectual mind desire to be at the center of the relationship, but in terms of her feminine nature, she doesn't want to be the head of the relationship. She kind of wants to be taken care of. And that places way too much idealistic pressure on the man and on the woman, that she has to be the head of household, essentially, and he's going to move the earth and the moon, the star and the sun and the skies for her. But the fact of the matter is that married life and family life is actually quite messy. When you wake up in the morning, your breath stinks and you're ugly, right? And so you're smelly and you stink. That's part of marriage too. And then you have children and they cry at night, and then everybody's tired. And then the kids poop and they pee and it gets all over the floor, and you have to clean things up. And then if you're married appropriately, and you accept children as they're supposed to come to you from God, you really have very little time to relax for many, many, many years. And life becomes very chaotic, and it's quite difficult to fulfill your fantasy in the other person. The other thing I want to say is, when you idealize your spouse, you actually pedestalize them. You put them in a place of God, in a place they don't belong. Because some people believe that marriage is a place that you will have an eternal rest. You will marry this person, they'll make you happy the rest of your life, and that's the end of it, and that person will fulfill you. But that is essentially the deity of marriage. It doesn't exist, and it shouldn't exist like that. Your spouse, you don't rest in your spouse, you work for your spouse. And you do everything, all your time, energy, efforts, your spiritual life goes toward for their good, willing the good of the other. And so the key is not to idealize or sensationalize or pedestalize your spouse. Your spouse is who they are. And then Tolkien goes on in his letters to his son, saying the soulmate idea is actually the force of divorce, right? Because you believe you have the one person you're supposed to marry, and you just don't. And he said, deep down, your soulmate, the one soulmate that you have in your life, is the one you're married to, and you have to accept that no matter what. And all too often, he states to his son, when people have the soulmate mentality that there is one for them that will fulfill them, which is, again, a form of idolatry. I just want to say that that's probably a mortal sin. When they have that one idolatry, soulmate type, one person can fulfill them. He said, all too often when life gets messy, and I'm paraphrasing here, that the next soulmate that comes along is the next available attractive person, and that person becomes a soulmate. And you start hopping from potential spouse to potential spouse to spouse to spouse. That's how infidelity happens. And so your soulmate in marriage is the one you married, and the mess that comes along with him or her. And it is messy, by the way. And that's the reason why is we live in exile and life is messy. And that's the chaos of life, but that's also the meaning of life, FYI, just to let you know. And I also want to say one thing from a personal level. I went through medical school with my wife. I had children in medical school. I cooked full-time in a restaurant while going to medical school. So there were times I didn't see her for months on end, except to go to sleep, life was messy. We didn't have a lot of family around, and we kind of, it was hard times. And those hard times create stress, and stress creates difficulties, and difficulties create, trials and tribulations. But at the end of the day, it makes it worth it, right? And so you go through, I don't know, we had kids in diapers for 21 and a half years, right? And now our 3-year-old's finally out of diapers. We don't have any smaller children on the way yet. And life suddenly becoming easier a little bit. And our relationship as married people is getting better with life, honestly. And I was thinking about this. I was giving advice to young people at the hospital the other day. If you give up early on, you're gonna miss the reward of later in life, right? That spouse that you persevered with, you had fortitude with, that's your soulmate, right? And with the mess of life and the difficulty of marriages and children and whatever else, and you persevered, one day you will have joy in your marriage just because of that. And if you give up early, you'll miss that. And then you'll go bounce to somebody else, and you'll never get to that point of getting old and married together. That's, I must say, that's one of the most relaxing times of my life right now, even, that you don't have to worry about the mess anymore. You're getting out of baby jail, and life's getting a little bit easier every single day. And so, so you'll miss out on the old fun age that, as you get a little bit older and the kids grow up and the grandkids come along. And so I guess that's all I want to say. Sperm in a wallet. I think that that woman was onto something, because she identified my buddy, that he fulfills her reproductively, but also he has to provide for her. And that's all you are, is what she said to him. And that's not quite all he is to her, right? But at the end of the day, that's very important that you look at life that way. He has to fulfill her basic needs, right? And then she has to fulfill his basic needs. And that's what your soulmate does for you, willing the good of the other. And on top of that, if you're properly oriented and you have virtue, and then you go beyond the basic needs, and that's all frosting on the cake, and that's all just wonder in life. But if you carry into your marriage that you're not a sperm in a wallet, or whatever it is, that, oh, you're the princess I've always desired and waited for, you're a queen in my heart, I will die for you, I'll give you everything I ever have and more, and you will always, you're so wonderful and beautiful. One day she won't be, right? And then, he's the chivalrous knight, he's riding in to save her from the toils and boredom of life, or whatever it is. Well, he's going to give her a lot more toils just being around her, because he's going to give her family. And so you're opening yourself up to disappointment and travesty and tribulations and whatever else, if you visualize the marital sacrament as a paradise which you can rest in. It's not. It's hard work, it's difficulty, but it's worth it. And it brings meaning to your life and to your communities, by the way, because the basic foundation of society and humanity is family life. And so, so take the appropriate view of your spouse, right? Realize your spouse is your soulmate if you're always looking for one. Some people do that. I've never actually had that inclination, but realize they are the one, and you have to make it work no matter what, just the way it works. And then once you submit to the chaos and difficulties of life, then it becomes easier, just the way it works. You just accept the chaos, lower your expectations, and then move on. That's it. Well, so this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. Please like or subscribe, get the Mass, and pray the daily rosary. Thank you, and God bless you all.